Howdy, howdy, fellow football fans, and welcome to another edition of the Far Out Football Podcast, brought to you by PTE Creative. As always, I'm your host, Evan Davies. Today, slightly shorter show. We're only doing our pick segment. Some stuff going on, working on some future stuff for all my friends out there, but nonetheless, we still have picks to make this week. Last week, 10-4 again, so we're picking pretty well this year. 98-52 overall record for the season. I'm quite thrilled with that one thus far. We're going to see how it continues to go in this week. There's some trickier games here. In my opinion, there's some trap games, if you will. We're going to see how it goes right here and now. We're going to start Thursday Night Football. The Washington Commanders are going over to Philadelphia. Philadelphia's favored at 3.5. There's a lot of people smoking the hopium over in Philadelphia right now, and rightfully so. They've been starting to look like the team that people believe is the sum of their parts. I still don't know if they should be favored by 3.5 in this game. It's a little rich for my blood. A lot of people would say that's not a big spread. I understand that, but Washington went down to the wire, and if it's not for a yard, probably wins the game against Pittsburgh, who is showing to be quite a good team. I understand why Philly is favored. They're far more of the hot team right now. Looks like Washington is not on the come down, but has evened out just a hair from where they were before. I'm going to take Philly, but I could easily see this going Washington's way as well. I really think Washington could take it. There's just something that tells me this could be a Philly game where they really come out and just show you, hey, we're better than what we've been showing in the past. Because they've been on a sneaky streak where the fact is, when I was watching the games last week, I saw the record and they only had 2 losses. I was like, that's not possible. This team hasn't played that well to have only 2 losses, but they do. And it's just they had 2 embarrassing losses early in the year, and they escaped with a couple wins that they shouldn't have escaped with. It's kind of where it is. But I'm going to take Philly in this game. Hopefully Washington can take it, because frankly, I think America's a better country than the Eagles. Now we're going on to my home team, the Green Bay Packers. They're favored by 5.5 going into Soldier Field in Chicago. To me, this is obvious. Green Bay is going to take this one. Green Bay, their biggest enemy is themselves, staying out of their own way. I think off a bye week, getting some health back, getting a little extra time for Jordan Love to rest up, perhaps a little rest for Jair Alexander to get healed up as well, get some more cohesion on that offensive hair. I think this is their game for the taking. Chicago has shown that they cannot block for Caleb Williams whatsoever. And they just released Nate Davis, their starting guard, with a lot of money on his contract. DJ Moore is ticky-tack injury here and there, and he's pissed off as Xavier McKinney, so that's not a good sign for anyone playing against the Green Bay defense. Green Bay I think this is a good, you're rested. You have problems rushing the passer, which Green Bay has had this year. This is a great game to get healthy in that. I see that going all the way. And plus, that Chicago defense has been starting to come down a lot more than when they started. I got Green Bay in this one. They favored by 5.5. I wouldn't take points because I think it could be close, but I'm taking Green Bay. Jacksonville at Detroit. Detroit is favored by 14. So obviously I'm taking Detroit. The show policy is until the Jaguars can show consistent play, they cannot be picked. I wouldn't have picked them anyways even if they were playing well, because Detroit feels like the team this year. They really do. The fact that Jared Goff played pitiful, and I mean pitiful football last week, throwing 5 picks. I was with family, and I'm constantly interrupting conversation between myself, my grandmother, my mother-in-law, and my wife, because they'd be asking me a question, I'd be mid-sentence, and then Jared Goff would throw another fucking pick. It was absurd, and he's not playing well in that scenario. However, this is Jacksonville. Jacksonville sucks. Okay? Jacksonville's trash, and they're going to stay on the trash heap. We're going to take Detroit in this one. Las Vegas going to Miami. Miami is favored by 7.5. Wow. Okay. A lot of people thinking Miami's just back. I am going to take Miami. This is not a reflection on my belief in Miami. This is my reflection on no belief in the Raiders. I think the Raiders is a lost team. They've shown that the interim coach bump is gone. That perhaps Perhaps signing Antonio Pierce as their full-time coach was not the best decision. We'll have to wait and see. There's not a whole lot of talent on the offensive side of the ball anyways. You have to play a lot of ground control, and I don't think they have the run game to outpace Miami here. I just don't think they have the DBs to cover some deeper shots. So I'm going to go Miami. Got the Rams going to New England. The Rams are favored by 4.5. I will be taking the Rams. I understand that New England just got to win, and they've been playing better with Drake May. That's great, but they don't have any firepower whatsoever to play against the Rams offense. This is an easy one for me. Plus, I just don't think their defense can really make that big of an impact on Matthew Stafford to fuck this game up. We got Cleveland, favored only by 1 point, going to New Orleans. This is called the quarter flip game. This is, as a bettor, you stay away from this game entirely. You only pick this game is if you have to pick this game like I am right now. I know New Orleans eked out a bullshit win last week. I'll go Cleveland. I don't like either of these teams. This is a dreadful game. I would stay away from this at all times. I'm just going to take Cleveland because I think you could run right over New Orleans. There's not much more reason than that. Well, also Myles Garrett against New Orleans. Defensive line. Not so much. Baltimore, favored by 3 going to Pittsburgh. I will be taking Baltimore in this one. The thing about this with Pittsburgh is, outside of last week, they've never shown a game where they're really going to charge you up offensively to score a ton of points. I think Pittsburgh defense is great. However, I don't think they're great enough to just slow Baltimore down to the point where they're going to score less than 14 or 17 points. That's kind of the win ratio for the Pittsburgh Steelers. If you keep them to 14 or 17, you win the game. Now, granted, that's football logic, but that's how Pittsburgh has been winning. It's been keeping low-scoring games for the most part. Last week was kind of an exception to the rule. Here, I just think Lamar Jackson and company, Derrick Henry, can run right through, play some ball control, and then go over the top with a few shots, taking ball. Minnesota, -6, so they're favored by 6 going to Tennessee. I'll be taking Minnesota. I think Minnesota's coming down a lot. As you saw, 12-7 win last week against Jacksonville. You're seeing where Minnesota is starting to plateau. I just don't think Tennessee has any bodies to really compete with Minnesota. I think this game could show Sam Darnold be absolute trash, but if he just hits 2 good passes in space to Justin Jefferson, it's over. I just don't think Tennessee can score. So that's more of a reflection of this one. I don't like the point spread on this one. I wouldn't be picking point spread. If I were better, I would just be taking straight up, and I'll be taking Minnesota. Indianapolis going to the Jets. Jets favored by 4. Indianapolis just made Anthony Richardson their starter again. They've looked in shambles. Jets, on the other hand, just lost another game. Their season's over. Okay? Don't believe what Aaron Rodgers is saying. He's being a snake oil salesman right now. Again, I've said this on the show before. Eternally grateful for what Aaron Rodgers did for me as an outcast on the East Coast, bringing me in a lot of ways, bringing me happiness when I was away. However, God, is he insufferable right now? Where it's just excuse after excuse after excuse, and it's just you can't play anymore, dude. I'm going to take Indianapolis on the upset. I don't know why. I think this is just overblown negativity, and I'll admit to that if that becomes the case. It's just I don't see the Jets being that hard of a defensive challenge for Anthony Richardson to hit 2 big passes and a couple runs and keep this game close enough where the Jets have shown they can't score 20 points on a consistent basis. So I'm not touching them. They were embarrassed the last couple weeks. I'm going to go with the Colts. Atlanta going to Denver. Denver's favorite at 2.5. Another game I wouldn't want to stay anywhere near. I don't trust Denver's offense, but I don't trust the consistency of Atlanta either. It's kind of strange how you just can't trust these teams. I guess I'm going to go Denver, which I never like picking Denver. Played really well in Kansas City last week. Even with Patrick Mahomes not playing his best football, which he played really well outside of that missed pass to Kelsey, he played generally pretty damn well last week. I just don't think the Atlanta offense is anywhere near Kansas City's offense. I'm going to take Denver this one just as a comp. If Denver can hold up that well against Kansas City's offense, which I know they have more exposure to, playing them in the division, all that stuff, but I just don't think Atlanta has that consistency. Seattle going to San Francisco. San Francisco's favored by 6.5. Obviously, Christian McCaffrey's back. Most of the quote-unquote Avengers, per first things first, are back for San Francisco. There's still some weird bad juju in San Francisco. I'm going to take them, but don't be shocked if Seattle pulls this game out of their ass. It's just, this is one of those weird games that Seattle, they'll lose 2 to 3 games that they shouldn't, and then they'll pull a game out of their ass that they shouldn't win. It could be like that, but I'm going to take San Francisco. I just don't think Seattle has the stopping power against a rushing attack like San Francisco to really. Kansas City at Buffalo. Buffalo favorite at 2.5. I don't buy this. I will go Kansas City. Here's my logic. Okay. I understand last week, extremely fluky, to block a field goal because the field goal coverage is so piss poor that legitimately 3 or 4 Chiefs could have blocked that kick. I understand how fluky that is. I want to get that off the bat. 1, we have never seen a game where Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs do not play up to standard against the Bills. Number 2, Buffalo, again, they've gotten better since Amari Cooper. They started to play far more of that football that you think the Buffalo Bills would be capable of, but they're still somewhat feasting on the weak. We haven't really seen them go up against a juggernaut yet. And I don't think they've really played a great defense like Kansas City's yet. It's a great test for them. There we go on that one. Plus, I just don't see Buffalo boat race in Kansas City. I think that's the way they win. I think it's close. The Chiefs have shown close games. They win. Others lose. It's that simple. Doesn't matter if it's a last-minute field goal, last-minute defensive stand, last-minute touchdown. Doesn't matter what it is. They're going to get the job done. I think that's Kansas City right there, and I think Kansas City improves to 10-0. It's just me. Until you prove to me that someone can beat Kansas City, I will not pick against Kansas City unless I am just forced to logically. And Buffalo's not a team that I am forced to logically acknowledge as up. Obviously, they're going to beat Kansas City. Cincinnati at the Chargers. Everyone's going to pick Cincinnati in this one. I understand it because we keep seeing these firework games where it's just Joe Burrow thrown to Jamar Chase for 70 billion fucking yards because nobody can play coverage against them, and I understand that. How do you limit them, though? You need to have the ball in your hands. How do you do that? Great rushing attack. That's what the Chargers have, and they're improving on defense every single week. I'm going to pick the Chargers. I know a lot of people are going to pick Cincinnati as an upset pick, which many people wouldn't consider an upset pick. I just don't think Cincinnati has the team, the full team, to go one-on-one with the Chargers. I think the Chargers are a better made-up team. And they're believing in their system right now. And you're starting to see a little bit here or there over the top with Justin Herbert. I'm going to go with the Chargers on that one. Finally, Monday Night Football, Houston at Dallas. I don't know why Houston written on my Houston at Dallas. Houston favored by 7.5. Please. Dallas sucks. Dallas has already guaranteed that one of my bold predictions, preseason, is that either Dallas or the Eagles, Dallas or Philly, will miss the playoffs. I still think both could happen, frankly, because I still don't believe in the Eagles. However, Dallas has guaranteed me I at least got that one right because I said one or the other. So I'm going to go Dallas, obviously losing to Houston. Houston has way more problems than people give them credit for. They're still just thinking CJ Stroud is a god. He's come back down to earth quite a bit. He needs a lot more help than people want to give credit for. However, this is not a team that's going to challenge them whatsoever. It's just not the case whatsoever. So I'm going to take Houston, and frankly, I might take the points too because I just don't think Dallas can compete with them. Just don't. So Houston I got you in the win. So that is all of our game picks for this week. I hope you guys enjoyed that, and I hope you guys enjoy watching football this week. Go watch it with someone you love, or just go watch it by yourself and enjoy it however you do. Stay in touch wherever you can. Peace, love, and hugs to you all.